Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to the life of a virtual airline pilot. You may recall on our last flight we flew into, I don't actually remember because we got them out of order, but the one that was supposed to be the last flight we would have flown into KCID, which is where we're at right now, or Cedar Rapids up in Iowa, and we're going to fly today down to KSGF in Springfield, Missouri. And what you see before you is the ZIBO 737 with a custom Millennium Aviation paint scheme on it. I am going to brag just a tiny bit. I did this paint scheme myself, but then after loading into, now I've seen it in the sim a few times, but after loading it for this flight I realized I didn't put a tail number, and there's a few other, you know, more specific details that the aircraft doesn't have at the moment, but that's okay. That happens sometimes. It's not perfect, but it is pretty darn nice, if I do say so myself. I think it looks fantastic. So this is the colors for our professional division, and if you come back here on the tail you can just see that it says Millennium Professional. So this is the professional division colors. We're flying open division today, but this just happens to be the paint scheme that I did. So you can see we've got this beautiful metallic blue on the leading edges of the wings and so on. It's just, I think it's a beautiful paint scheme. So the whole design is absolutely beautiful. This design was done by a good friend of mine named Cari Cruse, and you'll see in the new intro coming up here right after this introduction brief, you'll see my short intro, and you'll see what do you call it, a logo for her, and you can also find information on how to go to her website down in the video description below. She did a beautiful job helping to design the new logos and the new paint scheme for Millennium Aviation, or Mac Air, and I'm very, very grateful to her, as is, I'm sure, everyone over at Mac Air. And we're looking to get these paint schemes on all of our aircraft eventually so that you can fly them if you so desire. With that being said, I cannot figure out how to do these for Microsoft Flight Simulator at this point. I can do them in X-Plane, obviously. I've done this one, I've done an MD-11 as well, but I can't seem to figure out how to get them for Microsoft Flight Simulator now. So if you know how, and you'd be interested in helping us to put some of those, some of these beautiful liveries together, I would surely be grateful for that. Just contact me down in the comments section, or go to my YouTube channel page, click on the About tab, and you'll find that I have an email address available there where you can contact me. So with all of that said, I thank you for listening to me bump my gums for a minute. What do you say we climb up into the flight deck and get to work? Alrighty folks, if you've spent any time watching any of my videos in the last, I don't know, a couple of years at the very least, you'll know that we're going to take care of looking at the flight plan next. We're going to use Sim Toolkit Pro, as we have been for quite some time, and we've linked Sim Brief on here as well as our Navigraph charts, which I haven't actually loaded the flight in there yet because I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. I do just want to put in a little plug here because it's a great opportunity to do so. As much as I love Sim Toolkit Pro, the Smart Cars 3 program that TFDI is going to release soon, which is currently in alpha testing, it'll be in beta testing very soon. The Smart Cars 3 program will have a plug-in, or you can make a plug-in so that you can link SimBrief right to your smart cars, along with, I'm sure, Navigraph and so on. In fact, you can make plugins for just about anything for that program. It's completely customizable, which is absolutely awesome. But in the meantime, Sim Toolkit Pro is still, in my opinion, the absolute best EFB that's out there. It's the best EFB on the market, and it's free, right? So until PMDG releases the one that's should be the most amazing EFB that we've ever seen, considering how long it's taking, it's a little bit of a dig at you guys, PMDG, but I get it at the same time, so I'm just giving you a hard time, really. But this thing's fantastic. So if you're not using Sim Toolkit Pro, and if you're not using SimBrief, well, maybe you should be. With that, just one quick question, then we'll do this real quick flight plan here. I had one person way back when asked me if I would do a tutorial video on SimBrief. I'm more than willing to do that, especially if more of you are interested in that. I'd be happy to put one of those together. So if that's something you're still interested in, I know my good friend Jerry was the one who asked initially, so Jerry, if that's something you still want, let me know down in the comments here. And then anybody else, please go ahead and give a thumbs up to his comment or something, so that I know that there's some interest for that video out there. I'd really appreciate it. So with all of that said, it's going to be Mac Air Flight 127 from KCID out to KSGF, and St. Louis is going to be our alternate airport, it looks like. And I'm just double checking my smart cars over here. Everything's running as it should be. That's always good to know. So the airframe, it says PMDG 737. This was incorrect. And so what I need to do is I need to redo this flight plan, which I love it. This is super easy. Check this out. Go in here, go edit flight. This is right here in Sim Toolkit Pro, right? So you can see here I've picked a 737-700, but I forgot I was flying in X-Plane today. So this is a 737-800. There we go, right? So now you can see, and the credit goes right here. I wasn't able to remember who the credit belonged to last time, but you can see this is the individual who put these profiles in here. And the only problem with this is I don't know how this is going to stack up to the ZIBO 737. It seems pretty solid for the PMDG 737. I don't know about the ZIBO. So I'm going to stick with the default on this one. I do want to change the cost index. It was listed at 8. I don't like that. I'm going to put it at 85. I don't remember if ZIBO goes into the hundreds or not. You got your AirX cycle. All of that good information is down there. So we've edited the flight. Now we're just going to go generate flight. And what's beautiful about this, we'll generate the flight here, and voila. We did all this right here in Sim Toolkit Pro. It is going to change some information though as far as payload, block fuel, and all that, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. You can also change this flight for Sim Toolkit Pro itself. So real quick, we'll go over here, we'll go to dashboard and plan a flight, load last sim brief flight plan. And I'm just going to grab any 737-8. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't have this one. I think I've got the Delta Airlines is the one I would normally fly. So we'll just, whoop, wrong button there. Update it. There we go. And now it's loaded into Sim Toolkit Pro. And then last but not least, we'll click on our Navigraph. This was the last flight that we did. This was in the MD-11. We'll unload that. Import a new flight. Or you can do it from a file or from SimBrief. And then here we go, here's our latest. We'll import that, and then based on how that flight plan was set up in SimBrief, it gives us what we're looking for. So there you have it, and then we just jump back over to SimBrief really quick. So there we go. There's our departure information. Initial altitude is going to be 34,000 feet. You can see our cost index is now 85 rather than 8. 307 nautical miles is our route distance. And our AirX cycle is up to date, 13,544 pounds on the fuel, 8,635 pounds of cargo for a total payload of 36,110 pounds, which puts our estimated zero fuel weight at 128,004 pounds. I think we're tracking all of that, so we're going to go ahead and climb into the flight deck. I'm going to show you how to punch this information in because I don't think I've done that in a while in the ZIBO, and then we'll get going. Alrighty folks, as you can see I haven't really done anything on the aircraft yet. Don't worry, we're not going to sit here and go through it bit by bit, but I don't recall if I've done a full flight tutorial on the ZIBO 737. If I hadn't and you're interested in that, let me know. It's a 737 is a 737, and ZIBO and PMDG are quite comparable with one another, so my PMDG 737 tutorial would suffice, but there are of course the little quirks with the ZIBO that, well, quirks maybe isn't the right word, just the differences in how you do certain functions in the ZIBO compared to how you do them in the PMDG, if I can get my brain to function there. And of course the ZIBO does have a EFB at the moment. So let's take a look at a couple things here real quick. We're not going to go in depth here. Ground services, we've got the chocks in, GPU connected, doors we can open from here, and so on. You guys probably know that. We want to go to fuel and balance, go to payload. So you can see on here we've got payload at 31,850. That is incorrect. If you click on this, you can fill these out individually, or you can just go right down here to the total, and it's going to be 36,110 pounds. 110, bam, that takes care of our payload. We'll go back here, and then we need fuel. So fuel was 12,362, now it's 13,544. The difference is because originally I did it for a 737-700, not a 737-800, as you can see. So you see right now it still shows 12,362 is the actual. So this is required, this is actual. Why is it not moving? Because we don't have any fuel. Call the fuel truck. Now check this out. I love this about this. Call the fuel truck, go back in here, and look at that. It's fueling the aircraft in real time. That's pretty awesome stuff, right? Okay, we'll go back here. You do have takeoff and landing performance. I don't ever really quite get these to work right. But I'll play around with it a little bit today. We'll see how it goes. And then, of course, you get a rating on your approach and your landing, which is kind of cool as well. You've got the full integrated checklist system here. Now, if you use these checklists, for example, if I go to my preliminary pre-flight, it says battery switch. Now, I've already clicked on it, right? But you see you get this little arrow here, which is really handy if you're not particularly familiar with the aircraft. Now, watch when I check it off.
Ground flight
now,
deck fuel is all loaded up and you are good to go.
Thank you, sir. Now, GPU or APU on the bus, if you go back up here, again, it starts pointing. You got these flashing arrows, which I think is really great. I actually really appreciate that. Now, if that is something that you don't want, I think there's a way to turn that off, or you can just exit out of your checklist, and there you go. The arrows are gone. So fantastic. Once again, if you guys are interested in a full flight tutorial for this aircraft, please do let me know. I'm going to finish up the pre-flight, preliminary pre-flight, and the pre-flight information. I'm going to make sure everything's good to go, get our flight plan entered, all of that good stuff, and then I'll be back on here. We will be ready to push and to start. Alrighty, folks, just getting the last few bits cleaned up here. Get these flight directors on. VNAV, LNAV. Yeah, it's probably not going to arm the LNAV. 22,000. It's going to be our cruise altitude for this one, I think. Even though it says 34 on there, the aircraft says it can't make it that high. So V2 is 146, so this should be 151. There we go, 151 on that. So we got both flight directors on. We've got the APU up and running. We can hop over here. That is for the pushback. We'll get to that in a minute. We can disconnect this guy now. We can go ahead and remove the chocks, and we can go ahead and we can close that door, and then I'll move the jetway back where it belongs, which I can actually do in this one, but I can't seem to do in Microsoft Flight Simulator right now, which is a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Not that big of a deal. What else we got to do here? We're just about ready to push. The FMC's been taken care of. We're going to take runway 9 for our departure, which means we need to take a look at our taxi briefing really quick. So let me pull this back over here. If I can actually find a click spot. There we go. Excuse me. Sim Toolkit Pro using Navigraph charts. We'll just leave it zoomed in there. So here you can see we're over here near Alpha 9. We're going to push back with our nose to the left, tail to the right. Taxi over here to Alpha 7, onto the Alpha taxiway, crossover runway 1331, all the way down to runway 9 at Alpha 1 to hold short. ATIS on 124.15, clearance on 25.45, ground on 21.6, and tower, which is CTAF, is going to be on 18.7. What else we got? And just double checking, MCP is set up, radios are good for now, speed brake is down, thrust levers are idle, engine start levers are cut off, stabilizer trim is the one thing I haven't set as of yet. 3.25 on the stabilizer trim. That is the wrong button, sir. 3.25. Somebody's, nope, I want to zoom in. There we go. So we actually need to nose this thing. I'm actually surprised. That's a pretty low trim, don't you think? Like, that's as far as it'll go. I don't know. It says 3.25. I'm not reading that wrong, am I? No, it says 3.25. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work right. We're going to be doing flaps 10 for our takeoff. Let's go ahead and fire up this pushback here. So we just go to Home, Ground Services, Better Pushback. This only works if you have Better Pushback installed, just so you know. Request pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Avitab is something different. We'll go over that some other time. I think we're ready to go here. We're just waiting on them now. So Tug's going to come up. He's going to get ready to push us back. You guys know the start procedure, but we'll just go over it really quick here. So we're going to need to get the packs off. There we go, packs off. We've got the APU bleed on. This guy can stay in the open position right now. We're going to use the left ignition today. We're going to start with engine number 2. We'll roll it to ground when we're ready to start. And then we'll wait for 20% into, which will show up down here, not down here, down here, and then we'll introduce the fuel. Now with these, you can't just click them like you do in the PMDG. You actually have to click and drag, and I think that's what this view here is for. So I can click it and drag it all the way up without the throttle handles getting in the way there. So with all that,
all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
I'm going to let him finish connecting, and then once we start pushing back, we'll jump back on here.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Alright, fantastic. So we're going to start with engine number 2. We're going to roll that over to ground, come back down to this lovely view that I've set up, and then we're looking for 20% on this guy right here. So you should be able to see that pretty clear. Zoom this back out, and then again you're gonna have to click and drag this all the way up to the idle position. If I just click it, it does nothing. That's me clicking it right there. So it's click, drag it up, which is more realistic. I like that actually. So there you go, and that's gonna start up engine number 1. So of course what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish the push back here, start engine, or that's engine number 2. I'll start engine number 1, then I'll come back on here. We'll do our taxi procedures, and then off we go.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Fantastic. Let's jump up top here. We're going to go ahead and bring the power onto the engine generators here. That lets us turn the APU off. Packs need to come on. Engine bleeds are on. APU bleed can go off. Isolation valve needs to go to auto. And what else? External lights. It's just going to be taxi lights. Hopefully he's out of the way because I just would have shined him in his eyes otherwise. Then we're going to go ahead and hit the recall. And we got a master caution for what? That's interesting. So when I hit recall over here, it does nothing. When I hit it over here, I get a master caution. But it doesn't actually tell me, nothing stays up there. Oh, it's I bet it's the probe heat. I bet you that's what it was. See, I did miss one. Probe heat. Yep, there it is. It's gone, see? And now it goes away, so that's why we do that, right? Do the windshield wipers work on this one? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Windshield wipers at work. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, we'll put that bad boy right over there. We've got our taxi clearance. We need to go ahead and put the flaps in. So it's going to be 1, 2, 5, and there's 10 right there. We're going to go ahead and put the auto brakes to RTO just like that. We're going to need to put this over on the systems page. Let's go ahead and check out those flight controls. Full left, full right, and neutral all the way up, all the way down, and neutral again, and then rudder all the way to left, all the way to right, and neutral. Everything looks fantastic on there. That's the way we want it to be. Let's see, master caution light is off, recall has been checked, flight controls have been checked, flaps are set, trim is sort of set, still not sure on that 3.25, flight directors are on, takeoff briefing. So basically any minor or major failures prior to V1, obviously we're going to stop the aircraft, any failures beyond V1, and we are going to continue and assess the problem once we're in the air. That's the long and short of it, right? Let's go ahead and set this up. What is it? 80. There we go. 2980 is the altimeter. They're not synced. There might be a way to do it in the options in there. I just haven't set it up yet. That's always a possibility. And that's it. That's our before takeoff checklist down to the line. Let's go ahead and get to a proper view here. Track IR coming on, a little jump for you. Okay, bigger jump than I anticipated. Let's go ahead and center that back up. There we go. Get the parking brake off. Bring in a little bit of thrust, and I'm just like moving all over the place super fast. And she's starting to roll pretty easy. I mean, we're kind of heavy, but not super heavy. This is a very, very short flight. It's only 300 miles, right? I guess that's not super short. Not super short. Alright, y'all know the drill. I'm going to go ahead and taxi this bad boy out. I will see you guys when we are holding short of the runway. We'll get this bird in the air. Alrighty folks, we're just about to the runway threshold here. Let's go take a look at our checklist. Strobe lights are going to need to come on. Technically they come on once you go on the runway, but we're going to go ahead and do this stuff now. So strobe lights, we want those up, which should be flashing and steady. Let's see, wing lights are on, landing lights are on, runway turn off lights are on, engine start switches will need to go to continuous. Need to slow down as we make this turn here. Little fast. No traffic inbound. I don't even think there's AI traffic going right now, so, which is fine. That's ground. I don't want that. Wrong way. Leave that alone for a second. Let it kind of reset itself. Just that tiny bit of thrust to get her back on there. We want to go one that way, one that way. There we go. That's where we want to be. Not a super long runway. We got 8,600 feet to work with, which should be plenty, but we're going to take advantage of as much runway as we can. It looks like the rain's just letting up, which is kind of a bummer. I was kind of hoping it would keep going just so that we could see the rain start to, stream across the windscreen there. I thought that'd be pretty cool to watch, but just a little asymmetric thrust there to get around the corner. And there we go. Now I admit she just feels a little squirrely on the taxi, but that's alright. We'll go ahead and stop right there. Auto throttle needs to be armed at this point. Bam, there she is right there. Transponder is already set to TARA, and we've already hit the traffic button, and we've got our traffic, or lack thereof, showing right here, which means we're good to go. So let's go ahead and bring those engines up. Throttles to about 60% N1. And just let them stabilize. Again, this is a short airfield, so we're going to take advantage of it. Still not really thrilled with, let's go ahead, toga mode there. There she goes. Oh, there's the rain coming back. Not real thrilled with the 3.25 on the trim, but let's see what we get. Look at that rain streaming across there. That is fantastic. Alright, airspeed is alive. There's 80 knots right there. Check. V1 and rotator right next to each other.
V1, rotate.
There we go. Up, up, and away, ladies and gentlemen.
Positive rate.
Gear coming up. If I can get it to come up. There we go. My lever didn't work here, so that banging you heard was me running my hand into my keyboard accidentally.
400.
Alright, gears coming up, looking good. We'll go ahead and go to flaps 5 here. And we're just drifting a little bit. That's because of the wind. I didn't really correct for it as we got up in the air. We need to start making this left turn here shortly anyway. The flaps 2 there. And see, it's just going to keep taking us straight out, which I don't particularly care for. Let's put it on the LNAV here. There we go. Start making this turn. Flaps 1. Looking good. I'm liking it, I'm liking it. Go ahead and get the flaps all the way up. Auto brakes can go off. Autopilot can go on. Should come all the way around because it's on LNAV. Looks like it's going to. That's just the leading edge flaps coming all the way up. That's what that is. Let's go ahead and zoom this out a little bit. Get a little bit better view there. Top climb isn't super far. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and get the track IR off here. Jump to a different view and let's take a look at our after takeoff checklist. Positive rate of climb, gear is up. Flaps are all the way up at this point. Autopilot is on. We're in LNAV and VNAV mode. Climbing through 5,000 feet, headed for flight level 220. Auto brakes are off. Engine start switches need to go off as well. I almost always forget those. So there we go. That's those coming off. Once we get above 10,000 feet, we're going to turn the landing lights off, and that is going to take care of our after takeoff checklist. And that means, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, we are, let's take a look here, 80 nautical miles from the top of descent. We need to make sure that we are ready to go when the descent begins. First thing I'd like to do is take a look at our approach briefing, but as I'm thinking about it, maybe the weather changed, right? So let's go over to Sim Brief here real quick, jump into our weather in NOTAM, type in KSGF, and hit enter. Wind is 150 at 12 knots, 10 statute miles visibility. Let's see, 23 on the temperature, 15 on the dew point. Altimeter is 2963. Okay, so the wind is pretty close to what it was before. We were planning for runway 14, so it's going to remain the same. Let me just go back there real quick. Just looking to see, yeah, just 10 statute miles visibility. We don't have to fly the ILS, in other words, but we're going to anyway because, yeah, why not? There are a few other runways. If you go over here and click on the little edit there, so you see we've got the RNAV is one option, and then the ILS is the other option. And when you click on these in here, it kind of gives you a visual of what they look like, right? So the RNAV, excuse me, it actually has some of the same transitions as the ILS, but we're not going to use it, so it doesn't really matter. But this just gives you sort of a visual of what these approaches look like, which is kind of nice, actually. I like that. So, but we're going to stick with the ILS approach here. I'll bring that back over here. Cancel that. There we go. And so it's going to be the ILS or localizer for runway 14 in the Springfield, Missouri. I zoomed that in a little far, didn't I? ATIS is on 135.125, approach 24.95, tower on 19.9, ground on 21.9. Localizer frequency 109.7 with a final approach course of 139 degrees. Glide slope intercept at Reeves, 2,900 feet. ILS decision altitude is 1,517 feet MSL or 257 feet AGL. We need to make sure we tune that in. Airport elevation is 1,268 feet. Touchdown zone elevation 1,260 feet. This is going to give a little bit of rising runway as we land, so that's kind of nice. And then 3,100 feet minimum safe altitude in this sector here. So north, west, right? And then 4,600 in this quadrant down here. So there you go. Missed approach procedure is just climb to 1,800 feet, then a climbing left turn to 2,900 feet, direct to SGF VOR, and hold. Transition altitude 18,000 feet throughout the United States. Here's what it looks like. Coming in and out here at Beverly, then down to Reeves, and then on in from there. This is your missed approach procedure. Beverly, 2,900 feet. That's also glide slope intercept, and then down from there to our missed approach. Happy lights on the right hand side, a little more of the missed approach there, and then since we're flying the ILS, it's 257 feet, you need 3/4 mile visibility. Should be good to go. So what we want tuned in here, we want 109.7 for our localizer frequency, and we want 116.9 for the Springfield VOR. So let's drag this bad boy over here real quick. And we got 57 nautical miles to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust my altitude just in case I get to bumping my gums and I miss it somehow. We'll put this down to 10,000 feet for the moment, and then we'll clean that up in a minute. And I did manage to map my knob so that I can at least control the altitude, but I can't map it to where I can switch it and control other things, which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. So bring that all the way down. There we go, 10,000 feet, and then we'll bring it down to 2,900 feet a little bit later, but that'll at least get us started. So when we go down here into the FMC, you're going to go departure arrival. You're going to click on arrival, then you're going to choose ILS 14, and it's going to ask you if you want to transition. We chose none because the transition was at SGF, which would have caused us to have to make a couple of really wild turns and would have rather been pointless, quite frankly. So we didn't do that. So go to your legs page, Beverly, Reeves, runway 14. So 2,900 at or above at Beverly, I'm okay with that. But you do need to be at 2,900 by the time you get to Reeves so that you can intercept that glide slope. Hop back here. This is your nav radio, 109.7 on both sides, just in case you want to do the auto land. You're going to need it on both radios. And then 116.9 for the Springfield VOR as the backup on both sides as well. And that basically sets us up for our descent. So let's take a look at our descent checklist real quick. Speed's going to be monitored. Transition altitude is 18,000 feet. And 10,000 feet lights, and that's it. Other than that, we are ready for our descent, so I'll see you guys back on here when we're getting close to the approach. Alrighty folks, as you can see, we're just a little over 10 nautical miles from Beverly. We are quite a bit too high, actually. I'm a little concerned about it. But we'll see how it goes. Perhaps we have to fly the missed approach. I hope not. I don't really like doing those if I don't have to. But I came on here just a little bit early because I want to go over the landing performance tool with you real quick. I can only speak so much about it because there's a couple things I don't understand on here. But basically, you fill out your information. It's going to have the airport in there, put the runway in there, runway condition, put the wind, temperature, QNH, flap setting, and whatever else it lets you fill out. Landing weight. You can change what you add to the VREF. I left it at 6. A couple of these things you can't change, and then you go to this page here and it gives you your landing distance. Oh, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. So landing distance available is 2,319 meters. I don't really know what AD means, but it's clear that it's 341 meters in this case from the end of the runway. I was trying to think what it might mean, but I just can't figure it out, so maybe one of you knows. But anyway, if you look here, if you use max manual braking, you can stop in 1,018 meters. Now this is, of course, as far as I can tell, not accounting for reverse thrust. No credit for reverse thrust, and it doesn't let me change that, right? So this is no reverse thrust at all. So without reverse thrust, max manual braking 1,018 meters. Auto brake 1, you would go off the end of the runway. Auto brake 2, be cutting it a little close. Auto brake 3, 1,727 meters. Now, that's not accounting for reverse thrust, which we are going to be using. So I was going to go auto brakes 3, but we don't really need that. We're going to go auto brakes 2, and we're going to use max reverse thrust. And I'm just hoping that we're going to get down on that. We're at 6,700 feet. We're still 2,900 feet too high, and it's just struggling to get down. Not really sure why the airplane's having so much trouble getting down, but let's see if we can help it out a little. Let's go ahead and throw out a setting of flaps. And it didn't like that. It cut the auto throttle for some reason. I have no idea why. That's weird. Why'd the auto throttle cut out? And why is it... We're going to overspeed now. Okay. Not sure why the auto throttle's cut out. Really not. There we go. Auto throttle's back on. That was kind of weird. But see, it says VNAV path now, but oh yeah, it's coming up on it quick. Look at that. So it's getting there now, but it's descending really fast. I mean, 2,300 feet per minute. The passengers are in the back screaming their heads off. I got full speed brakes out. It's bouncy out there, as you can see, and we're just like right on the edge of our maximum speed for that flaps 1 setting. So not really sure. It's not really being friendly as far as that's concerned, but we're turning on to final here. Let's go ahead and hit the VOR localizer switch. It is in white, which means it is currently armed. As soon as it grabs it, it'll turn green, and then once it does, we can hit the approach switch. We do have our radios tuned, so we're good on that. There we go. VOR localizer is captured. 2,500. And hit the approach switch, and it's in white as well. And once it turns green, you can, if you want, you can hit the other autopilot here. I really need this airplane to slow down. It is screaming in here right now. Come on, baby. It's going to hit 2,900, no problem. Now that speed's starting to come down. We're going to leave those speed brakes out for now. Let's get that track IR coming on a little jump here and center that up. Yeah, see, look, it undercut it. It's, whew, those passengers are screaming back there. They're like, what are you doing? Pretty strong wind there, but it's not a strong crosswind. We're still going to end up coming in here, crabbing in here a little bit, but that's all right. I'm going to leave those spoilers out for the moment. I want this speed to come down. Look at it, it is fighting to get on that localizer right now. You see that? Look at how bad it is. It's going to overshoot it again this way. Look. It's going to overshoot it by a lot. Let's go ahead and put the next setting of flaps out there. Keep that speed coming down. Boy, I don't like that. Passengers are getting sick back there. There's glide slope intercept. Let's just see if it does any. This is actually terrible. This is terrible. Okay. All right. I've had enough of that. We're not doing that. All right. We're taking control. I'll leave the auto throttles on, and let's go ahead and let's get the spoilers up. And can we arm them? Pull up. Come on. Okay. I guess you got to just. Okay, yeah, I can't fly the plane and look down there at the same time. We're way too high now. We're going full flaps, so let's keep that speed coming down. And we want our speed to be 139, so 145, because it's +6, and we need to get down quite a bit. So 145, there we go. Come on, baby. Let's go ahead and get the landing gear out. There we go. We're still way too fast right now. And we don't have spoilers armed yet. There we go. Spoilers are armed. Alright.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr. Birchow.
Yeah, we are not stabilized, I can tell you that right now. Trying to get the flaps in still. This is a Southwest style landing here, folks. Still descending much faster than we would normally be. But we'll get there. I think we'll be alright. There's flaps 35 coming in. Let's listen to our call outs and see how she goes.
300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Ooh. That was a little rough. Not horrible. Minus about 265. Actually pretty smooth considering. Stay in the center.
80 knots.
Okay, reverse thrust off. Alright. Let's get over here and let's, as we taxi in, let's get these off. What I don't like is I can't do all those at once. It's kind of a bummer. Taxi light on and get the APU started here. It was good. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. I'll see you guys when we're here to shut down. We'll wrap things up and we'll call this one done and dusted. Alrighty, folks, we found us a parking space here. Let's jump up top and go ahead and get on the APU bus real quick. There we go. We can turn the APU bleed on so that we can keep those packs running for the moment. And then we'll jump back down here. We'll go ahead and shut them down. That's 1 and 2. And then we need to jump over here to take care of our doors really quick. Ground services. We'll get the GPU just so we have it. We'll need it here in a minute anyway. Go ahead and open up that forward entry door. We're not offloading any cargo, so it doesn't really matter. And then let's get the jetway attached so that they can start offloading really quick. Should have used PAC-X on this one. That would have been actually pretty good, right? Alright, so we did do the after landing. I just didn't do it on here. We do need to go ahead and get these flight directors off. There we go. Those are off. Let's start taking a look at our shutdown checklist here. Brakes are on. Start levers are cut off. We can go to ground power now, so let's go ahead and do that. You do have to actually click it on in this one. So you may know that in the PMDG it doesn't really matter if you click it on or off. If you connect ground power, it's connected. On this one you actually have to turn it on. If you don't, then you don't have ground power. So just something to keep in mind there. So we can go ahead and turn the APU off now. There we go. We're on the ground power. Doors and stairs are open. Fuel pumps can all go off. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Cabin utility IFE passengers, these can go off as well. Probably would normally just leave them on. Doesn't really matter. But signs can go off so people can get off the airplane. They'll probably be glad that we're doing that, right? So off and off. Call the attendant, let them know. Call the ground, let them know. And window heat goes off. Probe heat goes off. There we go. Electric hydraulic pumps can go off. Logo light would stay on. This one should have actually gone off already. We can turn off anti-collision and wing lights. We'll leave the logo light on for now. Technically you don't need it unless it's dark out, and I forgot to turn taxi light off as well. Imagine that, right? What else we got here? Isolation valve. We're going to leave that open for now because we're not going to actually go to complete cold and dark. So this basically puts us in a relative turnaround state. There's probably a couple things we would have left on. But it is what it is, and I think we're good to go. So that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that you enjoyed the flight. I did. Weird little quirk as far as not grabbing the localizer or flying the localizer properly. Not sure what that was all about. But I'll have to look and see if there's a recent update for this thing. There's been a lot of them since X-Plane 12 came out, so like I said, I hope you enjoyed the flight. If you did and you're enjoying the content on the channel and you haven't already done so, please do smash the subscribe button. I'm hoping to get to 10,000 by the end of 2023, and we're moving right along nicely, so I really appreciate all of you guys very, very much. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. That lets me know that you're enjoying the content, and it motivates me to do more of the same. Of course, the Life of Virtual Airline Pilot is the series that started this whole channel anyway, so we're probably going to just keep on doing this one no matter what. But it's still an encouragement to me to know that you guys are enjoying the content. So I appreciate it very much. And that's it. That's all and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all and have an absolutely wonderful day.